I'm Ellis Martin, and this is Money Talk Radio. Join me now for a conversation with Tara Christie, President and CEO of Banyan Gold Corp, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange as BYN and on the OTCQB as BYAGF. Banyan has just announced closing of a private placement for aggregate proceeds of $14.5 million. This strategic financing positions Banyan to advance the AurMac Project in 2025 and 2026, including an upsized drill program this year, metallurgy, engineering, baseline studies, and community engagement. Banyan Gold Corp is dedicated to advancing and de-risking its 7.0 million ounce AurMac Gold Project in Yukon, Canada's newest and fastest growing mining district. Nestled in the Mayo Mining District of central Yukon, approximately 40 kilometers north of the community of Mayo, the AurMac Project hosts structurally controlled intrusion-related gold mineralization. It sits adjacent to the Keno Hill Silver District, operated by Hecla Mining. Spanning 988 claims over 173 square kilometers, the project encompasses three key deposits: Airstrip, Powerline, and Aurex Hill Zones. AurMac enjoys outstanding infrastructure, including easy access via the main Yukon Highway, a three-phase power line, an existing Yukon Energy Corp switching power station, and even cell phone coverage, an uncommon advantage in remote mining regions. Ms. Christie has been President, CEO, and board member of Banyan since 2016, bringing over 26 years of experience in exploration and mining. Previously, she led Gimlex Gold Mines and consulted on mining, environmental assessment, and indigenous relations. She currently serves on the board of Western Copper and Gold and has held positions with the Cisco Green Acquisition, Constantine Metal Resources, Klondike Gold, and industry associations. A founding board member of the Yukon Environmental and Socioeconomic Assessment Board, she also leads the charity Every Student, Every Day. Ms. Christie holds Bachelor of Science and Master of Science degrees from UBC and is a registered professional engineer in BC and Yukon. With a strong foundation and exceptional potential, Banyan Gold Corp is positioned to make AurMac one of Yukon's premier gold projects. Tara, welcome back to the program. It's great to visit with you. It's been a while.
It has. Great to see you again, Ellis.
I've been to your property. It's been about 3 years. I flew in. I believe you have an airstrip there, and we took a great tour of Banyan Gold. Tell us what's happening with AurMac.
All right, 2024, let's start there, because when you were there, we still had maybe 4 million ounces. We now have an existing 7 million ounce inferred resource, and we drilled 21,000 meters more last year to add to that, really focused on improving the geological model and converting some of that inferred to indicated to give people more confidence in potentially some of our starter pit areas. We're on the cusp of a resource update here in Q2. We announced a strategic investment with a very good investor, which was $14.5 million. We're already gearing up. Our crews are mobilizing to the field. We'll be drilling here by the end of the month, really focusing on some of that high grade that we found. And remember, our grade of our deposit 0.63. So our perception or our misconception Banyan has had to grapple with, and which we are going to address this year, is the too low grade. Remember last year we drilled some great intercepts, that 16 meters of 9.32 just at 65 meters depth. That's a contact between a felsic dike and our host lithology. And what's really exciting about that is we can track that up to surface. The whole up dip side we haven't drilled. We can track it east-west across the property. So we believe that we've really understood how the high grade occurs in this deposit, and that's an exciting target for us this year. In addition, we know we can continue to grow this resource and have some great both proximal and distal targets. Wait to see what we do this year. We now have a really strong treasury. We're building on the 11 million we had with another $14.5 million investment today, and that gives us a lot of power to be able to get out there and change some of the misconceptions as we lead up to our PEA in Q4. That PEA we have to do because of our earn-in. So I would have loved this year's 30,000 plus meters that we're going to do to put into that. That PEA will give us a snapshot of some maiden economics. And then 2026, we'll be able to see the results of what we have redrilled this year. And we expect that will make Banyan a very attractive investment.
I'll tell you what, with that influx of cash that you just described, that's very attractive. And it's very attractive to new investors that are looking for opportunities in the gold space right now that have really never jumped into the space before. And those that have followed you for a while that are excited.
If you look at the terms of the financing today, you can still buy cheaper than the financing. It was an above market financing with no warrants.
Really, size does matter, doesn't it?
Size matters. That plus 5 million ounces. I remember when I started my career, everyone said, oh, get 1 million ounces. That's significant. And then it was 5 million. And now I came back with 7 million. And I had a couple corporates say, Tara, 10 million's not too big. And the ever increasing targets. And I think you need to have the scale so that people are making generational investments where you can get both a significant enough amount of production from a project, as well as the length of time to really justify investing the capital and investing in the communities and all that goes with mining projects. It's pretty exciting, actually.
Not everybody's been to the Yukon like I have and many of our friends. So tell us about the infrastructure in the Yukon territory and access to the project. How easy is that? You mentioned that your drilling season is starting soon, within weeks, and it will probably go throughout the fall and into the early winter. Give us an outlay of what it's like out there.
That's one thing that's a misconception about the Yukon and specifically about our project is there's actually pretty fabulous infrastructure. And for us, we have a main highway that goes through that's year-round maintained by the government. We have 2 mines right beside us with Hecla just to the north and the Eagle project where there's still lots of activity going on out to the west. We have hydro power lines already on the property, and the hydro dam that they're connected to is only 50 kilometers away. And we even have cell phone service. Fiber optic cable goes out along the power line. That's exceptional infrastructure. And I laugh and I tell people we need 50 meters of power line just to get across the highway right away. Most people are talking in kilometers. Those are huge advantages to this project. And the other part of that is the amazing topography that we have. This is really flat, level ground. There's no big mountains, no lakes, rivers, glaciers, all those problems that you generally have. And the mineralization starts right on surface, so low strip ratio. Huge advantage. When you look at our grade and you adjust it for strip ratio and other things, I think you'd see that we're pretty competitive with lots of projects that are in production and which are in the queue. And with 7 million ounces, there aren't very many North American projects with that scale with existing infrastructure. So I think in safe jurisdictions.
And you can build a mine pretty fast there. It doesn't take 5 to 10 years, does it?
No, you can actually get into the permitting process. If you look at the history of some other projects, they were able to start construction within 4 years. So there's a known permitting process. And that's actually one of the advantages we have is because we understand the permitting process and have a background in that, we've already collected all our baseline data. We were able to get the baseline environmental data from the 2 companies beside us. And then back in 2021, we did a gap analysis to identify what else we had to do. So we have wildlife, moose, groundwater. That was a big piece last year was doing some of the work to understand the groundwater flows within some of the potential pit areas, surface water, weather stations. We have all that data already, and that'll really enable us once we have a PEA that we like the project of, we could actually start the pre-submission engagement process for permitting. So this project could certainly get into the permitting phase and out of the permitting phase before most other projects.
Are you looking for an M&A down the road, or are you going to build a mine yourself?
I think you always have to say that the company might build the mine, and that's what you need to do. You need to keep advancing it through the phases. And just like we've done over the last couple of years, as you go from early exploration to where we are now in this pre-development, you change your team, you add the right team members to make sure that you're able to achieve that. If Banyan was to make sure it was to go into building this mine and financing it, as we progress toward that, we would change the management team to make sure we have those skill sets within it. And I'm a big shareholder, so that means that there might be a time when I have to put my baby in the hands of somebody else. I've got over $2 million and I put more money into the financing today. You think about it a little differently. It's not about me. It's about what's best for this project. I give that about a 10-15% chance. I really think that in this market with $3,000 gold, that's an 85% chance that it'll be an M&A because this is just too large a project. And then combined with some of the other assets in the area, big companies want to make investments in jurisdictions where they can see long-lived assets. And so even with Eagle next door, with the other companies around us, Yukon is really showing that there's a significant gold mineral endowment that's going to be worthy of that investment. So I don't think it'll be too long before people come knocking on the door.
I ran into a mutual friend of ours in Toronto at PDAC just recently. I had dinner with him, Robert Coyne. He and his brother own a drilling company. He reminded me of your family. Your family has a storied history there in the Yukon. We need to talk about that.
Yeah, my dad and my mom went to the Yukon to go placer mining. My dad's a geologist too, so we always did some hard rock exploration as well. So I grew up out running bulldozers and loaders, placer mine. And that's actually why I knew about this project is I personally purchased an estate which included the alluvial assets on top of AurMac. But that was in 2013. I became the CEO 3 years later in 2016. And when I knew I needed another asset for that company, I thought there's gold in the surface there. And I knew about Bernie Kreft having taken out some material there that was 2 ounce. So I set out to acquire it. And then by summer of 2017, we had an option deal on it. And so it's those histories and connections that are so important. Of course, Robert's been a big fan, and I think he's a shareholder and has known me from when I was a teenager. Certainly great to have that homegrown support.
Tara, it's always great catching up with you.
You're going to have to stay in touch because we've got lots of news flow coming this year. It's going to be a great year for Banyan. Great year for hopefully many of the gold miners. Hopefully this is just the start.
Thanks so much for joining me today on the program.
Take care.
I've been speaking with Tara Christie, President and CEO of Banyan Gold Corporation, trading as BYN on the TSX Venture Exchange and BYAGF on the OTCQB. Go to the company's website, banyangold.com, and subscribe to the Ellis Martin Report. It's free. Go to ellismartin.com.